Right on.
Okay. Let's do this. What happens when a 60-something working-class artist is deported because he can't afford to live where he works? This is his adventure and metanoia of escaping a greedy, gentrified metropolis into the loving arms of paradise. Welcome to Hollywood in Hollywild. I'm Dave Thomas, the king of wishful thinking. And this is the next installment of the podcast series, Hollywood in Hollywild. And today's episode is titled Culture Shock. I made it out of LA. That was my thought as I passed Bakersfield. And it sounded so sweet. I said it out loud. Adventures are adventures because you have no idea what will happen. And you plan, you imagine, visualize, but all that means squat to adventure. Adventure doesn't follow rules or have morals or care what's fair or mean, and that's what makes it so damn exciting. As an artist, failure is my best friend. And without it, I'd be unsuccessful, lost. After living with failure for more than 60 years, you sense it's coming. But you never know when. It is possible to anticipate, but failure always catches me like a baseball bat to the head. A catastrophe is a combination of unforeseen failures that, fall like dominoes. I'm not friends with catastrophic failure. I hate the guy. He's a prick, and he makes me feel all icky inside. The only good to be taken from catastrophe is making a great recovery. The first truck wasn't big enough. A measly 1 hour delay. I know. It doesn't sound like falling domino. Patience. Daylight and my cell phone signal started fading, around Fresno. And by the time I turned off the interstate onto a 2-lane highway into the Sierra Nevadas, it was dark. The navigation on my iPhone quit. And I started to realize just how alone I really was. Wait. Hang on a second. Sorry. I didn't come out here to be completely off the grid. Nobody wants that, especially me. We are social animals, and I'm an artist. Collaboration is the quintessential and penultimate process to create art. I'm very connected to the world. I have a T1 line, social media, computers, and a TV I never watch. But I still work in Hollywood. Not as much as I like, but I can exist on my pensions. But who wants to live in a state of solitary survival? I mean, out here, that's too dangerous to contemplate. I mean, you might like reading Cormac McCarthy, but you don't want to live in one of his stories. Nobody wants to lose an eye. Oh, God, I did it again. Damn it. See, now, that's the problem with making promises on the fly. Some are just impossible to keep. I'm sorry, I broke the fourth wall and I did the thing again. I mean, just, I don't know, try not to hold it against me. I mean, I'm doing the best I can. Sorry, just, turn it back on. On cue, the asshole voice in my head started with the "I told you so's" and "you should have's." It was hard to stay positive. And the feeling morphed a little into survival. The weather changed. Just, some rain sprinkles. But it continued to build as I reached the end of the road where my winding driveway started up the long hill to my new life. I could feel badness. It was waiting for me in the dark, like a predator. I sat idling in the huge diesel truck with my animals next to me. The extreme darkness of the country made it feel like I was looking at the world through a pinhole camera. I was having doubts about being able to get the huge truck close enough to the house. I just couldn't see. And then it started raining harder. I wasn't seeing any dominoes fall, though. And I didn't want to be scared into inaction. The truck was strong. It was heavy. I'd had plenty of traction. It wasn't as steep as it looked, but the trees hanging over the drive were a problem. And I'd have to move with a good pace up the hill because it was getting a little muddier. I talked myself into it. I gunned the truck, dropped it into low gear, gathered speed so I could, hit it hard and barrel through it. It's all about confidence, and doing stuff like, with confidence. Unfortunately, this confidence Spartan picked confidence stupid. I should have turned the truck around, gone into town, slept in a hotel, had a big, expensive breakfast in the morning. Avoiding the trees, I caught the front tire in a soft, muddy ditch, only barely getting out before overcorrecting and sliding off the driveway onto the steep hill. Finally catching the bumper of the truck on a utility pole I never even noticed. My heart rate bumped like a hummingbird's. The waves of adrenaline through my body made my bones ache. In a state of shock, I climbed out of the truck into the pitch black night and was greeted by my neighbor's dogs, who I followed home and asked my new neighbors if I could use a phone to call a tow truck. Man, the mountains were winning this war, and I hadn't been on my property even 1 hour. What had I gotten myself into? Even the negative voice in my head was quiet. and afraid. The tow truck driver said he could be out there in an hour or so, and it'd take maybe 2 hours to get my feet back on the road, but he could for sure get me out. However, it was going to cost $900 because he already had his shoes off and was cleaned up for the day. I couldn't respond. It wouldn't work. I mean, how do you make your voice work when you hear something like that? After nearly dying, he waited like a good 10 seconds before adding, but if you wait till morning, say around 9 or 10 o'clock, I can do it for $200. It was a pretty compelling argument for patience. I agreed. I got a limp fire going in the wood stove and had some cold fried chicken and beer. Went to sleep on a yoga mat in a sleeping bag with my animals in my new empty house. I never heard quiet so loud in my entire life. I took stock. Technically, I was here. Success. Not with a, pretty bow, but still success. You see how positive I am? Or tenacious, take your pick. I woke feeling much better and wasn't aching, but the house was freezing. It was warmer outside, so I made a trip down the hill to see the damage to the vehicle and wait for the tow truck. I was exploring with the animals when the tow truck driver showed up. He looked like Thor, the god of thunder, but his truck looked like a Tonka 1/3 scale model toy. I crooked an eye at it, and he assured me that Lil Yellow had gotten bigger monsters than mine back on the road. He said it with such sincerity, and it had this real quality, a vast experience. It's a good sign, I figured. After a quick survey, he said it might be another $200 for a backhoe because there was no way to get Little Yellow around my truck to pull it up. He's a nice guy. And I got the sense he was just getting to know me, so he could charge me accordingly and decide how hard he was going to work, being that I was a city slicker that just moved here from L.A. But I guess he liked my manner because he said he needed to sit and think. He lit a cigarette, so I sparked a joint. He was figuring weight, mass, force, leverage, and I was imagining how cool it was going to be to do mushrooms or other hallucinogens up here. I mean, it was beautiful and quiet and clean, and the views, even the dirt was clean. You know what I mean? I wanted to rub it in my armpits and just roll around in it. Thor rose like a cartoon hero. He picked up a block and tackle and a few yards of steel chain and got busy. It's exciting to see someone tackle a problem, especially one of mine. I was pretty happy. Less than an hour and a couple $100 later, Thor and I had freed my truck from the hill and turned this near-death arrival into a mere bump on the road to adventure. Unpacking only took me about 2 months. Okay, I still got boxes sitting in the garage, but it's nothing essential. So I'm letting them stay packed for a while longer. Maybe, forever, because I've got a lot more important things to do, like ordering non-violent mousetraps and fixing everything. It feels like I'm getting a lot of stuff accomplished, but God, every time I go outside or look out a window, I drop back into this pause and stare mode to watch a deer wander by, or the weather change, or the clouds scud by, or breathe the invisible, clean air. For the first time in my life, I am surrounded by nature. I've spent so many years moving from one boring, crowded neighborhood to another. Window coverings, always a priority. Now, drop to the bottom of the list. I had planned for unexpected expenses with an emergency fund, but, one fiasco after another just had me back on my soldier's diet to make ends meet. I felt like old times in L.A., only without the smell of human urine burning my nose or homeless in tents on sidewalks. My poor man's diet had a noble taste to it. Being surrounded by birdsong and oak forest made scrimping on money feel important, and rice and beans tasted like a delicacy. I was living on solid ground for the first time since I was a kid. I could feel change. And I wondered, how deep would it go? The house I bought sat empty for over 2 years, which is a classic nightmare homeowner scenario. A home needs people as much as people need a house in order to, work right and last long. But it wasn't only the house that drained my pockets of everything but lint. All the miles up and back on my little Fiat finding this house had killed the transmission. This was a very big domino. And I knew that if I let it tease me into angry land, I'd go bonkers. So I just put my head down and ate my rice and beans. I fixed what I could, spent what I could on used books. Fuck TV. My town has only 1,700 people. If you want a lover, you have to bring one. In my case, Print was her name. I've read over 100 books in my time here, and I have the time because I'm no longer wasting it sitting in LA traffic or looking for a parking space. Words fed me what food couldn't. OMG, cutting firewood wasn't as easy as I remembered from my youth, and that chore damn near killed me. After 2 hours of splitting wood, I didn't have the strength to light a match to make a fire. I had to schedule in healing time and limit chopping sessions. Cost isn't always about money. Sometimes it's about age. I earned new scars on my face, hands, shins, from the mall exploding into hard white oak. One day, I was smacked in the forehead with a formidable chunk that moved so fast and hit so hard, knocked my lights out. I saw stars, then black, then went weak. My knees buckled and I barely caught myself before falling down. And I quit. And I went inside. And I ordered a full protective mask while icing my skull. A week later, I got hit in the throat. That scared the shit out of me. My job relies on my voice box. I decided next winter I'd pay just about anything to avoid that. All the exercise has me in great shape. So I got that going for me. And, I sleep well at night. I'm just scabbed and purple and have a perpetual sore back. I bought rugs and sewed my own drapes. I like sewing. It's for the insulation against those Arctic nights. Eventually, my new digs became cozy and familiar. The fear of a mountain lion leaping out of the darkness and sinking its long teeth in my neck while I was sitting on the porch finally faded away. But the knowledge that I could die out here always makes me think twice about even the mundane. Because for now, I have no one to lean out the back door and say, honey, what was that? Oh my. Are you all right? And then, rush me to the hospital. Because it's just me. Alone. By myself. I didn't expect winter to bring so much sleet or rain or snow. But in one storm, I got a half a foot. Nature brought more big storms for months. I was out of the Southern California drought, and I also knew the exact locations of every leak on my roof. I miss my friends in LA terribly, but I'm not lonely, which is weird. I do wish I had someone to share all this with, but it would have to be somebody, really eclectic. I have many flaws. I got weird fetishes, bizarre beliefs, talk to strange people, and I'm an artist. Mothers warn their daughters about people like me. It's a tough combo. Love, though, is the only thing worth risking it all for. And I'd do it again in a second. That and friends. Everyone in LA asks, when am I coming back? But I'm not. When I do go back, my nose burns, and I just get antsy. It's too loud. It's not private enough. I'll visit cities, but I'm done living in them. The voices of nature are siren sweet, like a Venus flytrap. Oh, I see the trap, but I don't care. I have to get a deeper smell. I've spent a better half of a century living with mankind in cities, and gotta be honest, it can't compare with the awesomeness of nature's love. If you like this, let me know. And don't forget to check out our blog for other goodies on HollywoodandHollywild.com. I'm Dave Thomas, and this show was only possible because of contributions made by the following brilliant artists. Mr. Joe Rudd for the opening close music, Mr. Eric Skirmahorn for his brilliance on the guitar, and Mr. Simon Cole. And I'd also like to give a big shout out and thanks to you for tuning in. How was that? That was good, right? Eric, you're killing it.